When you picture the Philippines, you probably see pristine white beaches and swaying palm trees. A simple, tropical paradise. But that postcard image is a carefully curated lie of omission. What if I told you the true heart of this nation isn't found on a beach, but in a sprawling, chaotic metropolis of 14 million souls, a city so conflicted about its own identity that it has built entirely new, polished faces to hide its scarred and beautiful past? This isn't a tour. This is an excavation. We're not here just to see Manila. We're here to understand why it exists in three radically different forms all at once. Forget the brochure. Join me as we uncover the tale of three cities, one soul, and the battle for the identity of a nation. Our journey begins not in a gleaming skyscraper, but here, surrounded by stone, the air thick with humidity and history. This is Intramuros, Latin for within the walls. For over 300 years, this wasn't just part of Manila, this was Manila. These aren't just defensive fortifications, they are a declaration of power, a physical manifestation of a rigid social hierarchy. Built by the Spanish in the late 16th century, these walls separated the ruling class, the Spanish officials, friars and merchants, from the native Filipinos, the Indios who lived in the settlements outside. To walk these cobblestone streets is to trace the arteries of a global empire. For centuries, this was a vital node in the galleon trade, a legendary shipping route that connected Manila with Acapulco in Mexico. Silver from the Americas was shipped here, then traded for silk, porcelain, and spices from Asia, which were then sent back across the Pacific. It made Manila fabulously wealthy, a cosmopolitan hub that rivaled the great cities of Europe. But that wealth was concentrated within these walls, deepening the chasm between the colonizer and the colonized. The stones themselves, quarried from nearby provinces, seem to hold the memory of that division. You can take a horse, drawn carriage, a calissa, and let the clop of hooves on stone transport you. The carriage driver, a modern-day storyteller, will point out the landmarks. But it's in the quiet spaces that you feel the city's true spirit. That leads us here, to the San Agustin Church. This isn't just a beautiful example of Baroque architecture. It's a masterclass in adaptation, a style now known as earthquake Baroque. Notice the massive buttresses on the sides, almost disproportionately large. They weren't just for decoration. Built in a land constantly shaken by tremors, Filipino artisans adapted European designs, making churches lower, wider, and heavily reinforced to withstand the restless earth. San Agustin has endured 7 major earthquakes and most miraculously, the Battle of Manila in 1945, a month-long bloodbath that saw the rest of Intramuros systematically annihilated. Its survival, when everything around it turned to rubble, makes it a potent symbol for the Filipino people themselves, a spirit of improbable, stubborn resilience. For an entrance fee of around $4 to $5, you're not just buying a ticket, you're paying respects to a silent witness of history. Just outside these stone ramparts lies Rizal Park. It's a vast green lung for the city, a place for families to picnic and lovers to stroll. But its serene surface belies its profound significance. It's named for José Rizal, the national hero. Rizal wasn't a general, he was an intellectual, a novelist, an ophthalmologist. His weapons were his pen and his mind. In his novels, Noli Me, Tejere and El Filibusterismo, he didn't just criticize the abuses of the Spanish friars and government, he did something far more dangerous. He gave a disparate collection of island peoples, Tagalogs, Visayans, Ilocanos, a shared story of suffering and a common identity as Filipinos. He sparked a revolution not with bullets, but with ideas. For this, The Spanish regime executed him by firing squad right here, on this very ground, in 1896. He became a martyr for a freedom he would never see. So when you see a family laughing here, understand that their simple joy is planted on the soil of sacrifice. It's a freedom that was paid for in blood and ink. But the moment you step away from the curated history of Intramuros, you meet the other Manila. The real, raw, unapologetic Manila. The symphony of roaring jeepneys. The tangled mess of overhead electrical wires that looks like a concrete jungle's nervous system. The kinetic energy of millions of lives intersecting on crowded streets. This is where you truly discover the city's pulse. A short ride takes you to Quiapo, home of the Black Nazarene, a life-sized statue of Christ believed to be miraculous. The fervent, almost frantic devotion here is a powerful example of Filipino folk Catholicism, a unique blend of indigenous belief and Spanish dogma. A little further on is Bangdo, the world's oldest Chinatown, established in 1594. It's a chaotic, vibrant testament to the centuries of Chinese influence, a relationship that has swung between symbiotic trade and violent persecution. This is where you truly eat. Forget the tourist traps. Look for the carinderias, small, family-run eateries with pre-cooked dishes displayed behind a glass counter. This is the soul food of the Philippines. Here, you'll find the true adobo, not a street snack, but a slow, braised stew of pork or chicken in vinegar, soy sauce, and garlic, a culinary relic of pre-refrigeration preservation techniques. You'll find sinigang, a sour tamarind-based soup that delivers a uniquely Filipino jolt to the palate. And you must try sisig. Its origin story is a perfect metaphor for Filipino creativity. It was invented in Pampanga, near a former U.S. Air Force base, using the discarded pig heads that Americans wouldn't eat. Chopped, seasoned, and served on a sizzling platter, it transformed waste into a national delicacy. This is not food designed for Instagram. It's designed to nourish a nation. As night falls, the districts of Malate and Ermita flicker to life. They have a reputation, a grittier, more complicated nightlife than what we'll see later. It's a place of dive bars, live music, and stories whispered in shadowy corners. It's a reminder that Manila's soul is not just historic, but also deeply, complexly human. Navigating this city feels like an archaeological dig through time, but if Manila is the nation's soul, then just a few kilometers away, you'll find its meticulously crafted modern mask. Welcome to Makati. The air literally changes here. The chaos of Manila melts away, replaced by the orderly hum of commerce. The tangled wires are buried underground. The streets are clean, the parks are manicured, and the skyline is a declaration of ambition. This is no accident. Unlike Manila, which grew organically and chaotically over centuries, Makati was engineered. It was the master plan of the Ayala family, one of the country's oldest and most powerful business dynasties, who, starting in the 1950s, transformed a patch of cheap grassland into the nation's undisputed financial center. They did this by imposing strict, long-term zoning laws and building codes, a level of planning unheard of in the Philippines at the time. This is Ayala Avenue, the Wall Street of the Philippines. The men and women striding purposefully in suits aren't just going to work. They are powering one of Southeast Asia's most significant economic engines. The country's top banks and multinational corporations reside here. But the real engine of modern Makati is the business process outsourcing (BPO) industry. In these gleaming towers, over 1 million Filipinos provide customer service, technical support, and back-office functions for companies across the globe. This industry has created a massive, new middle class. But it's a middle class that works on Western time zones, creating a unique nocturnal society that sleeps by day and fills the 24/7 cafes and restaurants by night, fundamentally altering the rhythm of urban life. This concentration of wealth creates an economic bubble. A white-collar manager here can earn between $800 to $2,000 a month, sometimes more. It sounds modest by Western standards, but when the national average salary hovers around $350, it's a world apart. Makati is not just a city, it's an aspiration. To live in this bubble costs, of course, a decent two-bedroom apartment might run you $600 to $900 a month, plus association dues, a fortune for the average Filipino. Add another $400 for utilities and food, and you see that a life of comfort in Makati is a reality walled off from the rest of the nation. Just as Intramuros once was, but with walls of glass and finance instead of stone. The social life here also revolves around a different kind of fortress, the shopping mall. Ayala Center, with its interconnected web of malls like Greenbelt and Glorieta, is the modern-day plaza. But to dismiss this as mere consumerism is to misunderstand the Philippines. In a city where the heat and humidity can be oppressive, and safe, clean public spaces are few and far between, the air-conditioned, secure, and all-encompassing mall becomes the de facto community center. It's where you go for a date, a family outing, a business meeting, or simply to escape the sun. Greenbelt, in particular, masterfully blends high-end retail with lush, open-air gardens and even chapels, creating a strange but serene fusion of commerce and contemplation that is uniquely Filipino. When night falls, Makati's professional mask loosens. The energy shifts to the Poblacion district. Once a quiet residential area, it has exploded into the trendiest nightlife hub in the metropolis. It's a fascinating maze of streets, where trendy rooftop bars with stunning skyline views open next to old family homes, and craft beer pubs sit alongside traditional Filipino barbecue stalls. It's a visible process of gentrification happening in real time. Unlike the more insular nightlife of Manila, Poblacion is a melting pot of expats, tourists, and affluent locals. Here, a local beer costs around $2, a cocktail maybe $6 or $7. It's a world-class night out that remains remarkably affordable. Yet, even in this fortress of modernity, you can't escape the Earth's raw power. A local's advice to a newcomer often includes a warning about earthquakes. The Philippines sits on the ring of fire, while modern high-rises are built to strict seismic codes. This ever-present risk has fostered a deep cultural appreciation for safety and stability. The preference for low-rise homes in the suburbs isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's a quiet acknowledgement that for all its concrete ambition, humanity is still at the mercy of nature. Makati is a stunning achievement, a testament to what Filipino planning and capital can accomplish. But what if even this polished mask wasn't enough? What if you wanted to erase the past entirely and build a city from a blank slate? To understand the next chapter of our story, you have to understand where we are standing. This is Bonifacio Global City, or BGC. And just a few decades ago, it was a restricted, sprawling military base called Fort Bonifacio. It was a piece of land literally walled off from the city, a place of discipline, order, and control. When the government privatized it in the 1990s, they didn't just sell property, they sold a canvas, a chance to build a city free from the sins of the past, free from Manila's historic chaos, and even Makati's perceived stuffiness and aging infrastructure. And the result is staggering. Welcome to the Philippines' urban utopia. The first thing you notice in BGC is the overwhelming sense of space and order. The streets are laid out on a logical grid. The sidewalks are wide, tree-lined, and genuinely pedestrian-friendly. The power lines and cables that create the web, like canopy over Manila and Makati, are all buried underground, opening up the sky. Public art installations are everywhere, turning street corners into open-air galleries. This isn't just a city, it's a meticulously curated experience. It's what Manila could be, perhaps, in an alternate reality. The engineering goes deeper. BGC has its own dedicated, efficient bus system that runs on a predictable loop. It has an underground cistern that collects rainwater to mitigate the chronic flooding that plagues the rest of the metropolis. It's a city designed with logic, a direct response to the problems of its neighbors. The population here is different too. While Makati remains the home of old money and finance, BGC is the hub of the new economy. Tech startups, creative agencies, and international corporations seeking a modern, globally minded headquarters. It attracts a younger, more international crowd of professionals and a growing number of expatriate families who value its safety, cleanliness, and abundance of green spaces and international schools. With its dog-friendly parks, farmers' markets, and emphasis on walkability, it feels less like a Filipino city and more like a district of Singapore or a North American downtown teleported into the tropics. This brings us to the core of our story. We've seen three cities: Manila, the historic, chaotic, and beautiful soul; Makati, the powerful, planned, and protected economic fortress, the first mask; and now BGC, the hyper-modern, sanitized, and idealized utopia, the brand new face. The very existence of BGC poses a difficult question about the Philippines' identity. Does progress mean paving over the past? To create a world-class city, do you have to erase the very things that make it uniquely Filipino? BGC is efficient, clean, and easy to live in. But critics argue that in its quest for perfection, it has become sterile, losing a piece of the vibrant, unpredictable soul that defines Manila. The high cost of living creates an invisible wall, making it inaccessible to the vast majority of the population. It has solved Manila's problems, in a sense, by excluding the very people who must face them daily. The answer to this question depends on who you ask, and it reveals the deep contradictions at the heart of modern Filipino life. You cannot understand this city metropolis without understanding the daily struggle of moving between them. Because the veins that connect this fractured body are chronically clogged. Welcome to Metro Manila's infamous traffic, a phenomenon locals have grimly nicknamed Carmageddon. A 10-kilometer journey that should take 20 minutes can easily swell to 2 hours, a soul-crushing reality that consumes an estimated 3.5 billion pesos in lost opportunities every single day. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a fundamental economic and social brake on the entire nation. It dictates where people live, how many hours they work, and how little time they get to spend with their families. To survive, you have to learn the system. First, there is the jeepney. These garish, chrome-plated behemoths are the undisputed kings of the road. Originally converted from U.S. military, jeeps left behind after World War II. They are a symbol of Filipino resourcefulness and folk art. Each one is uniquely decorated, a rolling canvas of religious icons, anime characters, and family names. To ride one, you hand your fare to the person next to you, saying, "Bayad pa," and it gets passed down a chain of strangers to the driver. A microcosm of communal trust in motion. But even this icon is at a crossroads. The government is pushing to phase them out for more modern, environmentally friendly mini buses, sparking fierce resistance from drivers who see it as an attack on their livelihood and a piece of Filipino heritage. Then, There's the elevated train system, the LRT and MRT. It's the skeletal spine of the city's public transport, moving millions of people daily. It's cheap and it bypasses the gridlock below, but during rush hour, the term "packed like sardines" feels like a generous understatement. It's a physical manifestation of the daily grind and resilience of the Filipino commuter. For those who can afford it, a layer of modern convenience is painted over this creaking infrastructure. Grab, the Southeast Asian ride, hailing giant, is an essential utility. But the true daredevils of Manila traffic are the motorcycle taxis, known as habal-haybal or through apps like Angkas. They are the fastest way to cut through the gridlock, weaving through impossibly tight spaces. A high, adrenaline, grassroots solution to systemic failure. This coexistence of old and new is everywhere. While you can pay for your coffee in BGC with a tap of your phone, at a street corner carinderia in Manila, cash is still king. Yet, the Philippines has also leapfrogged in other areas. The widespread use of GCash, a mobile wallet app, has allowed millions of people without traditional bank accounts to access digital financial services, revolutionizing how money moves. It's another classic Filipino story, finding an innovative shortcut around a systemic problem. Moving through Metro Manila is a daily lesson in this contradiction. A city with first world ambitions and third world infrastructure, all held together by the incredible patience and ingenuity of its people. So, we come to the end of our excavation. We discovered that Metro Manila is not one city, but a battleground of ideas. It is Intramuros, a nation's soul preserved in stone, wrestling with its colonial past. It is Makati, a fortress of commerce that built a powerful present. And it is BGC, a utopian dream of a globalized future. To visit is to witness a country actively deciding what it wants to become, right before your eyes. It's a story far more complex and compelling than any beach postcard could ever convey. It shows that a nation's identity is never static. It is constantly being torn down, rebuilt, and reimagined, a messy, vibrant, and deeply human process. What part of this hidden urban trilogy surprised you the most? The colonial ghosts of Intramuros, the engineered order of Makati, or the futuristic vision of BGC? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to know. If this journey opened your eyes to a new side of the Philippines, consider sharing it with a fellow traveler who loves to dig deeper. And be sure to subscribe for more journeys that go beyond the surface of the world's most fascinating places. Until our next exploration, stay curious.